we're going to bring up our fabulous Rose Walker and Laura Minnick to tell us the story behind the story cards, which is one thing that we all know truly sets us apart from any other jewelry purchase you can make in the entire industry. So please help me welcome Laura Minnick and Rose Walker to the stage.
So we're talking about story cards today, and the story behind it, the history. When Christian Bling started, of course, a lot of the right people came into play, and at the right time. And Elizabeth, who names all the pieces and creates the story card verbiage that you see. She picks out the verses and she writes about the piece. She has been doing that from the beginning, and it sets our company apart from any other company that you see out there selling jewelry. The piece has a name, it has a meaning, and I'm sure many of you have stories of how someone might see a story card, read it, see the piece, and it really speaks to them, maybe for a friend or for themselves. And there's Elizabeth. Did you want to just say anything about, a little bit about how, just the story card and how it all came to be?
I'll just take 1 second and just tell you this. The story card really is a total God thing, as in so many parts of this company are. When I first came to the company, it was quite a miraculous experience because Mary had called me when I was right in the middle of prayer, praying for a job because I had just lost a job. And I was really praying the Psalms and just really pouring my heart out to God and saying, I have got to have a job. I've got to make X amount of money in 2 weeks. And, I need a job today. And if you're not going to give me a job today, I have to take my daughter out of college. And if you're going to have me do that, then you've got to give me peace and you've got to give her peace. And, this is really tough, God. I know there's terrible things going on in the world, but it's hard for me to pull my daughter out of college. And, help me. So I'm just praying and I'm just asking for all this help. And in the middle of this, Mary calls me. And I pick up the phone and say, hey, Elizabeth, this is Mary. I know we've been talking for a while, but hey, do you happen to be looking for a job? So my mouth drops to the floor. And I said, well, yeah, I am. And she said, well, would you consider coming to work for me? I said, I don't know. I guess I could come over this weekend and we could talk about it. And she said, no, honey, I want to know if you want to come work for me today, right now. How fast can you be at my office? So, I walk in that door, I get there in an hour and I ask her, okay, what do you need me to do? And she said, well, what I need to do is come over here and look at all these pieces, and I had been doing some naming of them and writing some gorgeous stories about them, and I need you to take that over, and I need you to to spend some time in the Bible and write verses or take verses and make names and write stories. I was thinking, God, you're going to pay me to spend time in your word every day? Amazing, quick, fast, immediate answer to prayer, and God is so sweet and so surprising. And so just as a natural outgrowth of that, we realized that those stories really were meaningful to people. I mean, they certainly touched me as I was writing them, and we noticed how they were touching people as we were giving them, and April had come up with the idea of gifts that we were giving to a school, Holy Spirit. They would give their faculty at their birthdays, and then there was gifts that they would give the mothers of the graduates, and we made a little story card for that, and then we just thought, wow, we really need to make this be applicable to every single product, and every product needs to go out with a story card from now on. So we're just really blessed that you all like that idea, and we think it's a wonderful selling point for the company because we do want them to be meaningful. We want people to wear their faith. Exodus tells us that God asked the Jews to wear their faith as signs of who they belong to and as signs that He's with us all the time. So it really is a wonderful part.
We should all know that Exodus verse.
Thank you for sharing because, like you had just said, if we didn't know that, then that's another reason for us to further our mission and what God wants us to do in this company. And the more knowledge that we have, the better service we can be.
Yep.
So that's really awesome. Thank you for sharing.
When Elizabeth shared that story with me yesterday, I said to myself, there is no way I can tell it the way she told it. And it just isn't. I just felt so touched, and it gave me goosebumps when you told me the story last night. So thank you for giving us your story, and it's just such a special part of the story card history. And Laura's
I
going
was
to say something.
going to say, just to the newer people, make sure you're familiar with the story cards. You don't have to memorize them, but familiarize yourself, because you will have a customer who comes to you and says, I have a friend who's going through such and such, lost her son, can't get pregnant. I mean, there's so many different stories out there, and every story card has that inspirational message on it. So be familiar with them so that you can say, okay, that sounds familiar, let me think for a minute. It's really helpful, especially some people, some C customers will go through and read every story card, and they'll say, well, I just don't know about that line, and so you need to be familiar so that you can lead them in a direction where you think they need to go.
Definitely. And, in the beginning, when you're building your kit, it's really easy to display all your story cards because you've got the room and you want to spice up your table, and that is an important part of your piece. As your collection grows, it can be more difficult to display all of your cards to go with the piece. So we're going to show you different ways that you can store your cards, that you can display your cards, and so that it's fun and yet not too much extra work. I saw something on our Bling success page that Kathy from California displayed. She had one of her tall neck pieces, and she had the story card. I don't have any pins with me, but she had pinned in her story card, as well as you could even pin the price tag, because when people are trying on the necklaces or the bracelets, those tags can kind of get in the way, or maybe it's next to the clasp. So that is another way that you can kind of display some of your pieces, at least, without a tag. But it's nice to have that story card right there. Like I said, you can do it on some and not all. Another way to display is to have maybe a couple pieces of your jewelry in the box with the story card, so they can see that when they get their gift, they're going to get that story card along with it, which comes in every single box. And then I just love these trays that we have. We have the round one, which is blessings, count your blessings, and then we have this rectangular one. And I just love displaying some of the jewelry and story cards or pieces on that. So it's it can show them this is how your guy, boyfriend, husband, or whatever can use this little tray.
I'll have to tell my boyfriend about that.
So I've always had a hard time knowing how can I carry around my story cards in a way that I can easily find the particular one that I might be looking for my customer. So I found this on Amazon, which I just love. It comes in different colors, but it's a file for your story card. So you would get a business card file box, and it opens up like that, and there's 4 sections, and they're all alphabetized.
That's so cool.
And you can just find, like if I want to look for Hannah, I'm just going to go right there, and there it is. You can show it to your customer.
That's a great idea.
Also, when you are putting your things away, stick your cards right back in the file, and you won't have to worry about reorganizing when you get home, or they're all over the place.
Great
So those
idea.
are some of the
That's a
things
great idea. I like
that I have.
Yeah, when Rose and I were preparing for this, we definitely have different ways of doing it, but that's what makes it fun, because no table is the same. And sometimes from party to party, I like to change things up because I get bored and I like to be creative. So these, go to Michael's, any of your little craft stores. These are a great little way to display. You have to take care of the story cards. They can get bent so easily and then they look bad, and then you have to call the office and order another one, and I mean, they're probably $1 a piece to produce, so you do need to take care of them. This is a great display for a cluster. And they're easy, you know, people can pick this up without having to touch the cards and read this. I don't clearly have enough to do, so I like to shop for new ways to display things. I'm a Pinterest addict, so I will sometimes put my earrings on here with my story cards. Sometimes, just depending on the table, it stands up, it's like this. I'll take the magnets and hang a few necklaces on here with my story cards.
You can be posting these on the Facebook page.
That's
great.
Sure. You guys, please post stuff, because again, I'm a Facebook and Pinterest addict. I like to
We
see.
need to see this.
This is another just fun little metallic retro thing that I put earrings on, and I change it up. Some days I like to take this to a party, some days I like to take that. It depends on the size of the table that I'm using. This is fun, and people don't have to pick them up and look at them. I don't really want everyone touching my, I mean, I want you to read the story card, but I take care of my story cards. These story cards to me are as important as the pieces of jewelry. I can't personally talk about this line without talking about the story card. It is so integral. So for the newbies, if someone comes to me and says, oh, what do you do? Or what's that jewelry you're wearing? I say, oh, it's Christian Bling. I have my little blurb that I say. I work for Christian Bling, or I sell, you know, Christian Bling. It's beautifully styled, currently fashionable Christian jewelry. Every piece has a name and a story. Every piece comes in a beautiful box with a story card. And I can't talk about the jewelry without the story card. It's that integral. So
What
that's
did you
another
say? You said beautifully styled?
currently fashionable.
Yeah.
So that's another idea. Okay. So then, because I again have nothing better to do, I have I have a board. This is so common. This was on our Facebook page. I think Mary's daughter took chicken wire, cut it, got a frame, stapled it on the back. This is such a fun display. People like me will go to a party and I will go straight to this display. I don't even see the jewelry, I just see the cool display, and then I get into the jewelry.
And can I say something about that? You could put this together at home before you go to your party.
Totally.
You don't need to do it there.
Yeah.
You know, you get the right
Oh
guy
yeah,
to put
I
it
would
in.
have this done before I walk. I'm not doing this.
Chicken wire?
Chicken wire.
This is chicken wire. You can get bigger chicken wire, and it's just stapled on that.
to make sure you have a wall behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
These are mini
You're getting a great look at the new earring line. This is a great.
These would be great displays. The earrings.
Laura, put those up over here too, so
Yeah.
you can see throughout the day.
And then my storage, I have been through, I cannot tell you how many different storage ideas. I've been to Container Store. I mean, Mary wants to chastise me because I spend more money than I make in organizing and displaying, but I finally went down to this idea for storing my story goods, and I put this on the Facebook site. I have a notebook, and I use business card pages,
Perfect.
and they're alphabetized.
Mess it up then.
And I can quickly grab this and go to my S page, and I can say to my customer, "Here's So Loved," and we read it together, and she doesn't have to touch it.
There's a personality type for that.
Any questions, ideas? We're wrapping up soon,
And
so.
please post. Don't be embarrassed to
Yeah.
post it on Facebook. I mean, it may not be appealing to me, or it may not work for me, but
I know Laura one time posted something that was a system I use for my tags.
Yeah.
For my tags, I attached lobster claws, little, lobster claws to the string that attaches to the tag. And then you take it on and off your piece very quickly.
Well,
That was-
now
so
our kid includes the lobster claws.
which I like.
And I think when they send out new things now, they send it to the
Because
lobster.
we need to be wearing our jewelry, and I can't tie and untie price tags all day long. I rip them off, and then I have to restring them. So you can put your price tags on lobster claws.
Yeah, and that is the best. Sometimes people are like, why are there two lobster claws? I'm like, no, that's just the tag club. But anyway, All these ideas, share with each other. We'll reshare them when we get back. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.